Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about Erikson. So, Erikson is a psychologist who has a well known theory about the stages of development. And for some reason, when I was going through social work school, his theory always stood out to me, and it's something that I found really applicable as a parent over the last 15 years. And so I want to share a little bit about him today. So, Erikson is known for the psychosocial stages of development. And basically, his premise is that developmental phases happen throughout the course of one's life. And these phases are broken down into different time periods. And so the first phase is from 0 to a year and a half. The second phase is from a year and a half to 3 years, and on and on. And it goes through your life cycle as a child into early adulthood, middle adulthood, into late adulthood. And so what he really focused around was how your social interaction and your development during that period of time in the context of your relationships would play a really important role in your long-term development and growth as a person. So as somebody who works with kids and who has kids, I have really learned so much from understanding Erikson's stages of development, and they give me really honestly a lot of peace as I go through this parenting cycle in my life, because when I have a child that's 2 years old or 4 years old or 5 years old, and I understand what is the natural development that should be happening, it really allows me to understand what is normal for my child and what can I expect. And I have to say, as a parent, parenting is one of these things where nothing is what you expect it to be. And so for me, knowing what is characteristic of each stage can really be helpful in what I know I can promote in a healthy manner with my kids, and what I maybe should be concerned about if they're not developing in a way that seems healthy. So what Erikson proposed was that each person goes through a crisis in each stage, and if they can successfully navigate that process, then they will go to the next stage of development with a healthy set of tools and skills that will allow them to be successful long term. And so in each stage, there is kind of two outcomes that can happen. Either you learn the skill that that stage presents itself, and you do that in a healthy way and are successful, or you may have some sort of trauma or something that prevents you from successfully going through the phase, and so it can create some things that you need to process through later in life. And so each stage is characterized by a unique set of developmental steps, and each stage is unique. And so Erikson proposed that, again, when you go through these stages, your goal is to successfully navigate them and to learn a new skill. So as a parent, your goal is to help your child go through that crisis and resolve it well, so that they can successfully go to the next stage of growth and development and learn that skill. So the crisis that Erikson says happens is not necessarily an actual kind of catastrophic event. It's actually an opportunity for a child and an individual to grow and to learn what their potential is to be able to be successful in life. So in Erikson's view, these conflicts were centered on either developing a psychological quality or failing to develop that quality. So obviously, as parents, our goal is that we are going to help our kids develop the quality that they need and to learn a skill during that time. So these times are the potential for very high levels of growth, but it's also a time where we as parents want to be aware that we want to help our kids navigate each phase in a way that they won't have any kind of sense of failure. So if a child is successful in resolving each of the developmental crises, then the healthier the child will be in the future. And especially it will impact how they're able to navigate future relationships, because as a caregiver, whether you're a grandparent raising a grandchild, you're a parent raising your child, you are the person that is entrusted with navigating the child's life and helping them go through each of these developmental stages. And so if your child is unsuccessful in resolving each developmental stage, then it is more likely the child will struggle in the future with future endeavors, and it's also more likely that they will have issues with trust and relationships if they haven't felt supported going through developmental stages during their childhood. So kids who successfully deal with the conflicts in each stage usually emerge with really strong psychological strength, and that serves them well for the rest of their lives in dealing with any kind of growth opportunities, any kind of challenges, and any kind of relationships. And so one of the things I love about Erikson stages is that it really, each stage is an opportunity for a kid to learn an essential skill that they're going to need to develop a really strong sense of self. And that's really critical to me as a parent, because I do believe that my goal as a parent is to equip my kids with the capacity to make choices and to equip them with resilience to overcome challenges so that they can do that during their childhood and also into adulthood. Erikson also believed that a sense of competence would motivate our behaviors and actions long term. So in each stage that a kid goes through, whether it be the stage from 3 to 5 or the stage from 5 to 12, the goal is for them to learn a new area of competence in their life. So for a kid that's 3 years old, that stage is the stage where you're beginning to learn the skill of being able to be in control. So when you're learning to potty train or learning to pick your clothes, there's a value in them understanding that they can make choices and that they can have control over their lives. If each stage is handled well, then a kid starts to get a sense of mastery over their life, and they begin to feel competent and capable of making good and responsible decisions. If they don't go through each stage well, then a child may begin to have a sense of inadequacy, and they feel like they don't know how to handle or control their lives in such a way that they can be successful. So I personally believe that promoting choice for a child as they go through developmental stages is really fundamental to them gaining long-term confidence in their life. As they age, it is extremely vital that they learn that they're capable of making healthy choices, and that they will understand that as adults, they are going to have the skills that they need in life to be able to face anything that they deal with as they get older. And so learning as a kid how to fail well, how to learn and how to master each developmental stage will give them the long-term benefit of valuable skills and also confidence to be able to face whatever they need when they're older. So just remember, our kids are not different than us in the way that they function in the world. I want you to think about a time that you were at work and your boss gave you a new project and it required you to do something you had never done before. It's very similar to when a kid is going through one of these stages. Maybe they're learning how to potty train, or they're learning how to do a new skill at school. When you get this project, maybe initially you fumble or you feel inadequate because you don't know what you're doing. Well, how do you gain success in that situation? You have to learn a new skill, usually through research or through asking someone in your life to help you, or oftentimes you learn by trying and failing. But in the end, if you don't quit and you complete that project well, what is the outcome? You've gained a new set of skills, you have greater confidence in your ability to tackle a new and unknown challenge in your life, and hopefully your support system is stronger because you realize how many people will come around you and help you when you're in that kind of situation. And so this experience over and over again happening in our lives is what builds our confidence and our competence. And we need to foster that in our children, just like our boss fosters that in us. We have to instill in them a belief that through persistence, trial and error, and support from other people, they'll learn to succeed. This process is invaluable in raising empowered and responsible adults.